Welcome back to Captain of Industry for another amazing episode in our Let's Play series. If you've missed some of the previous episodes, don't hesitate to check in the video description below for the full playlist. And we're gonna definitely do a lot of big things in this episode. Talking about big things, as you can see, we have many more mega excavators. They're really so big compared to the other one, it's crazy. And yes, we're going to cover a couple of things, including creating our first nuclear reactor. You may remember that in the last episode, we ended with this mine, this iron mine, being almost finished. And as you can see, there's a small over here. We completely finished this part over here. And so now I'm destroying the actual ramp. This used to be the ramp we were using. Now we're destroying it. I created another small one over here because we obviously still need to be able to go up and down. So this is a completely new ramp to be able to destroy all of that. Now we're going to jump a couple of years and you'll see that this will be completely finished and now we can start actually filling it. The other thing I wanted to mention before we jump a couple of years into the future is here my production hub, my blast furnaces. This has lasted quite a number of years. This has worked really well, but now this is reaching its limit. This is not big enough, guys. We need to get it bigger. In particular, we need to be able to produce a lot more copper than before. Because we need a lot more copper than we used to, in particular because we're going to need a lot more electronics than we used to. Electronics are used in the appliances and a couple of other things. So we need more of these. We also need pure copper just for PCB. We're gonna need copper for the microchips. So we need a lot more of this copper. So at the beginning I thought, okay, let's just move this. This used to be here. I moved it a bit and now I have a bit more space. But I actually realized this is not enough. I want to get bigger, I want to get stronger, so we're going to use even more space. Here we jumped a couple of years, and as you can see, the mine is actually empty. As you can see, there's no more iron ore at all into the map. And so we've started filling it out. We've recreated the road over here that was completely destroyed, also over here, so we're starting to filling this out. And similarly for this production hub, as I said, instead of just trying to expand a bit over here, we're gonna create a completely new one. This is this one over here. It's 20 blast furnaces level 2. So that's a really, really good production. With that, we can increase all of our productions. But the hard thing is, I can't really just delete all of this and just recreate because then I'm gonna be in trouble with my maintenance. So I have to be a bit smart of recreating part by part, deleting by part, and that's what you're going to see. It does take a bit of time to do that, but this is a lot safer because this way, I'm not gonna have a problem maintenance. I'm not gonna crash my whole economy. So just one step at a time. For example, here, we're going to recreate first the glass, then we can delete the glass, then we can recreate the steel, delete the steel, and again and again. And here it is, a couple of more years, and the industries that used to be there been completely moved all the way over here, and we've basically doubled our production. We've also added a couple of other here that I'll go into detail. And as I said, we're also going to talk about nuclear reactors. But before that, I did want to show you. You may have realized that I used to have here a farm before. This was my farm linked to medical supplies. My clinic is still there, but instead of giving medical supplies level 1, we're giving medical supplies level 2, the gold ones now. This is a bit more unity, as you can see, 96 instead of 72. 20 health instead of 15 and a mortality reduction of 1% instead of 0.6. This is really good because basically it means that any illness that I have, it needs to be a really strong illness for me to lose people, or even if it's a strong one, I'll lose less than if I were using those ones. So it's good, we can stop giving at all those medical ones level 1 and make sure we have a good storage of medical level 2. I'm going to show you how we're making them. But before, we actually have a new shop in a mall, let's say. Next to our ideas, we have Mafisonic that has opened its doors. We're selling some household appliances. This is full, this is really great. So let's look indeed first at this one. We were producing over here our household goods. And now next to it, I'm making those appliances. This is electronics. This is why I mentioned earlier that we do need to increase our electronics production. Electronics level 2 and steel. So quite advanced resources, but it is worth it. And as I said, we're producing basically twice this, so that's 32, and we need 30 per minute. So we definitely will also have to increase that production soon. And this is where I'm making those medicals level 2. This is a bit in the middle of nowhere, but it's fine. We're basically producing everything on site, and then here the medical supplies are just sent when needed to the city. Why I decided to make it a bit in the middle of nowhere is both because I had space for the farms and also for the water. I didn't want to bring water from somewhere far, so I had to use one of those groundwater. We have a couple across the map, one here, there, and there. So that is why I'm using this one over here. So let's start over here. Indeed, we have 3 of those groundwater pumps. They're not working all the time at full speed, which is why we are not having a problem. 3 is fine for a groundwater layer like this. And I have here this fluid storage. The main reason is to be able to put this alert, or you can put notify if below 25%. Basically, this will give me a warning that something is wrong. Then this water is used in the farms and also in a few other small things. The farms are all sugarcane. We used to be making medicals from our corn. Now we're only using sugarcane. I'll show you. We have 3 of those farms, all sugarcane and green manure. And of course, we're giving water. It's a greenhouse level 2, but no fertility. And as you can see, we have a reserve of sugarcane. This is producing more than what I need. Also because I'm producing more medicals than what I need right now. This will be good for quite some time. So this is the water here also going over there. And all of the sugarcane is coming out. We basically have one of these, one food processor per farm. This is taking 15. This is producing 15.1. So this is good. And a bit of water. So this is also why the water is going over there. We're making the sugar and the biomass. Biomass comes over here, goes all the way over here, and then is transformed, just into compost. And in the compost, we can just dump it. And in the sugar, we do 2 different things. There's some sugar going over here and some sugar going over there. Those 2 are sending over here. This is 12. So this is just one of these, 2 for 2. And this will create my ethanol and a bit of carbon dioxide. For now, I'm just sending the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And then, of course, the ethanol we're using into one of these chemical plant level 2 with some plastic. We're creating some disinfectant. This was something we're already doing for level 1, because basically to make level 2, you need level 1 and some other things. This disinfectant comes over here, goes into those 2 over here. So this is 12 each. That's why we're making 24. This will give us 48 medical supply level 1. To do that, we also need medical equipment. This is what we're creating over here. This is just steel and plastic, which is why I have plastic and steel over here. So then this goes over here into another assembly electric, where we're taking those medical supply and we're adding antibiotics to make those medical supply level 2. And this is what you see over here. The other sugar that we're making another 12. It's going into 3 times 4, plus some ammonia and some oxygen to make antibiotics, and a bit of carbon dioxide once again. Carbon dioxide is sent to the air, and the antibiotics is what's coming over here to go over here. So as we said, we need the sugar that's coming over there, the oxygen and the ammonia. The oxygen is easy, it's that one over here. We only need the oxygen, so I don't need anything complex. I'm just sending the nitrogen directly into the air, and the oxygen is going here at level 1. And then we need some ammonia, which I'm creating over here. This is just a chemical plant level 1, because we don't need a lot of ammonia, right? This is just 0.8 for each, so it's basically 3 point something. And for that, we need a bit of hydrogen and nitrogen. And then the hydrogen has been created over here. We have 4 of these, right? So 1.5 times 4, that's 6. That's exactly what we need over here. And to do that, we only need water, which is why the water coming from here. It's also really not a lot, 0.8. The only thing, that's not great about this is it does cost quite a bit of electricity. Yeah, that's what's happening. We're doing this medical supply level 2. They go there, and then a truck comes from time to time to send it. We built this recently. I've already paused it. All of this is paused because the nuclear reactor is working. The key reason I really wanted to go quickly to the nuclear reactor, because this was consuming way too much coal for my liking. This was 4 of these times 2, right? Each of these is 18, so that's more than 300 of coal per minute. That was really a lot of coal. It was also taking a bit of space close to my oil production and I actually want to increase my oil production, revamp it a bit, to be able to really be ready for the end game. But to do those nuclear reactor, we need those 2 researches, so that's what I did first. And it all starts by importing some uranium ore. You don't have it on your island, so you need to import it from the map. So this is what I've done over here. This used to be only 2 for my quartz. Now I've upgraded it to 4 and added one loose module over here for the iron ore. This iron ore is just going through that belt directly over here and then is picked up. And then this uranium ore will go over here. But before I show you what we do with it, let's do a quick recap of my new production belt over here. Now, to make sure that my maintenance and all of my city continued to function while I was moving the production, I just basically connected the new belt to the bus. So this is why you see this is a bit of a mess. So we have 20 blast furnace level 2, 10 are focused on the iron ore. Of course, we are prioritizing the iron scrap, and then when we don't have enough, we take the iron ore crushed. Given that this mine is finished and we're using this one over here, I've also moved the storage. It is now over here and it goes down this way into all of those crushers. We used to have, I think, only 5 or 6. Now we have 10 because, again, we have 10 blast furnaces focused on this. Then it goes into this one. This is for the iron scrap that's delivered over here. For now with trucks, maybe we'll belt it again later. I made trucks while I was changing because it was a bit too hard to have too many of those going around. And we of course have the balancers to make sure that this is the priority, the scrap should be the priority. And otherwise this is pretty much the same layout, right? We have at level 0 the coal, level 1 the iron, and level 2 the limestone. The limestone is coming over here because we have a limestone mine, and then the steel is coming out on that belt over here. I do have a small one for that chemical plant level 2 to create a bit of liquid nitrogen for my research. So we have now 4 of these. I think we used to have only 2 or 3. And then we have 6 of these for the iron. That's definitely a lot of iron. Then over here I'm making my glass sand mix with acid, salt, limestone and sand. The reason I'm putting it over here is this way I also have the same belt for the limestone. Same limestone is going there and then over here. Sand is coming from that side, a bit longer, but that's fine. And then the salt is coming from over here and the acid from over there. We'll talk about it later. Then this mix goes over here into the storage. This one is for my broken glass. Then they both go this way. Once again, of course, we have the priority on the scrap and then goes over here. So we have actually 4 of these. We used to have only 2 or 3 once again. Now we have 4. This is just glass and coal, so that's an easy one. So that was 10 and 4, and therefore we have 6 remaining now for the copper. We used to only have 2 for the copper, now we have 6. That's definitely a huge improvement. Then goes into the metal caster and the copper electrolysis. As you can see, pretty compact, and we're using of course the acid one to make sure that we have no waste. Right? This is 24 for 24 instead of 24 for 19.5. So only the acid is used. Now, where is this acid coming from? Well, the acid is created as a byproduct after the exhaust scrubbers. We have 4 of these exhaust scrubbers and they're working pretty much full time because 4 of these is what you need when you have 20 of these. They take this exhaust and a bit of water. The water is the pipe at level 0 to create the sulfur, carbon dioxide and steam low. And the sulfur is going on that belt over here into those mixers where we're taking sulfur and a bit of water to make a lot of acid. Then this acid that you can see on this pipe over here is going back this way to go into, as we said, over here and over there. And this acid is also used over here in this new building, which is the settling tank. This first one over here is taking a bit of rock and this acid to make hydrogen fluoride and some slag. The slag is going back on this main belt with all of the blast furnaces, and the hydrogen fluoride is just going over here into this storage here. This is a simple one, but quite important because we'll see the hydrogen fluoride is going to be used in more and more things in the future. And then we have 2 others over here, which are taking uranium ore crushed and with that acid creating yellow cake and toxic slurry. The yellow cake is just going over here. toxin slurry is going into this wastewater treatment. We're taking some filter media, this is what you can see here, and some brine to make water and slag. So again, the slag is just going back this way into the main conveyor, and the water is going back this way into the main pipe. That's why we have a priority over here. This way we're not creating pollution, we're actually reusing everything. And with that, as we said, we're creating the yellow cake. To do that, we had to have uranium crushed, which is actually coming on that belt over here. This is the uranium I told you about earlier. The ore goes this way, goes into those two crushers over here, and then is transformed. And with those 24, we'll be able to produce 12 yellow cake. So remember this 12 yellow cake, this is what we're producing. And here it is, this is the nuclear station, quite magnificent if I may say so myself. And we're gonna see that it is working perfectly well. Right now only half of it is working, producing 18 megawatts, and I can double it very easily with the production that we have. The yellow cake that we're creating is delivered over here. We are also delivering the hydrogen fluoride that we created just there, and then a bit of steel. The first two are going over here into those enrichment plants. It's 3 of these, 1 of these to create 3 pellets. Remember, we're creating 12, which is why we have 4 of these, right? And therefore with 4 of these, we're going to be able to create 12 of those pellets. Then those 12 pellets with a bit of steel, so only 0.3, so it's really nothing, are going to create 2 uranium rods. Why 2? Because one of these buildings require 1, which is why I have 2 of these. Now you take this uranium rod, you add water, and that's going to create a lot of steam high. Same amount, 288 to 288, and 1 spent fuel. Now it's worth noting that you don't have to actually run it at 3x like I did at 288. If you want, you can run it at 1 or 2. For example, if you're really not able to produce as much as I'm producing over here, you can play with that to start creating some power with it. So this used to be completely in the water. That's why I've been dumping a lot and I didn't finish covering the other mine. I could have waited a bit more and cover all of this and move this down, but that's fine. We'll put new ports and things like this over here. Fine to put it over there. And so what's amazing with this plant over here is that this is first of all water positive. I don't need any water to make it happen. This is water positive. I don't need any resources like coal or anything like that. The only thing that we need are those 3 resources over here. The yellow cake, the hydrogen fluoride, and the steel. So it really doesn't require a lot of resources, and in particular, it's taking me off the coal. And with that, as I said, it's water positive, so I could use a bit that water. Right now, I'm just dumping it. I think it's easier to make it a separate module that nobody touches. And it's also creating a lot of salt and a lot of chlorine. And I also made a bit of a storage of brine, because remember over here to clean the toxic slurry, we needed a bit of brine. So again, this is just a resource I needed, so it was good to keep it. We do create a spent fuel that needs to be stored. You store it in those spent fuel storage, 30 kilowatt, 10 people, so that's really not a lot. It's 5,000, as you can see I have 2% right now. The key thing though with a nuclear reactor is it has to work 100% of the time. This is not like your low pressure or high pressure turbine that can do stop and go depending on your consumption. Here the nuclear reactor needs to work all the time, or to say it differently is the steam always needs to come out. We can't leave the steam inside. If you leave the steam inside, this thing is going to overheat. This is what you see here, the reactor heat. And if it overheats, you have a risk of explosion, risk of radiation that would kill a lot of your people. This is why you can see over here that I have the turbines taking this steam high, but I don't have a flywheel. I'm not going to store the energy, is whatever is coming out, we're using right away. Which is why right now I've only activated 1 of these reactors and not the second, because I don't really need, right? I'm producing 18 with that. Usually my production or my consumption of energy is between 10 and 17. But soon when we get above 17, then I'll just activate that one. We're bringing the rod over here, and this is the spent fuel, so that's easy. What's a bit more complex is the water and the steam, you can see there's a number of different inputs and outputs. They are actually different. It's not the same. These ones are, let's say, the normal ones. This is where you want your water to come in, your steam will come out over here. This is the emergency. Basically, if your reactor is overheating, you need to have some water to make sure it doesn't explode right away. And if the steam can't come out from here, it will come out from the emergency one. Like most of the layouts, this is water positive, but you do need a bit of water to kick it off, because basically, once again, right, you start with water. So I did have to send a bit of water. This was this storage over here. Right now it's paused because I don't need it, but I started with that. So we have the steam that's coming over here. We're creating 288, so you need a red pipe. Then it goes some over here, some over there, right? Comes over here. Then we are creating low steam, so it goes that way, goes into those two over here, and then those low steam are going to create steam depleted. Of course, remember to put the power generators at the end. This one was 12, and each of these is 3, so that's why we have 4, and this one was 6, so this is why we have 2 over here, but no flywheel. And then, as we said, this is creating steam depleted. It goes over here, this way, all the way over here. This one goes on that part of the layout, and then for these ones over here, it will take this part of the layout. This is basically just exactly the same, doubled. So this is the steam depleted that goes over here and goes into those thermal desalinators. We're going to use this recipe over here, which takes 12 of these. This is why we have so many. This is 24. So the steam is the red pipe at level 0, and the seawater is the red pipe at level 1. And we're transforming this 12 steam, which remember was basically 12 water at the beginning of the reaction. We're creating 15 water, which is why this is water positive. Each of these is creating more water than what it's using, and on top of that also a bit of brine. So we're creating water. This water comes over here, goes into this balancer over there, where first we want priority to be you send back the water into the system, right? We need 298, so first we need to send it there. So once again, I need to either do something with this water or I need to dump it, otherwise this will get filled and therefore the steam won't have anywhere to go. So yes, that's the build. Quite proud of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you already created your own reactor? Have you done things differently? Do you think a second is overkill? I definitely don't think so, because I'm already almost at 18. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think this was really important so that now I can delete all of these. I can stop using so much coal over here. But actually at some point when I was creating the nuclear reactor, I did have a bit of a problem with diesel. It wasn't too bad, but I basically went from like 4,000 to only 1,500. I wasn't too sure what was happening. So I stopped a lot of my mining vehicles. I also upgraded this. This used to be a cargo 4, now this is a cargo 6. So we're also making a reserve now of crude oil. But I do think that soon we'll want to improve that indeed a bit. Now that we've done that, this is why I'm researching construction level 4 to really enter the end game. So we're getting really close. I hope you're still enjoying this series. Don't hesitate to smash the like button if you did, to leave a comment. I'd love to hear about it. And I hope to see you next time.